Hello there and welcome to another episode of Home Tech. Jason Griffin here, joining you from the Super Bowl champion city of Denver. And joined as always by my partner Seth. Seth, how are you?
Nice.
You like that one?
Way to get it in right at the beginning. Yeah. So
yeah, I figured there wasn't any point beating around the bush.
Right. Yeah, why leave it to question?
Exactly. A heck of a game.
Yeah. Not bad. More of a defensive match than I think I would like to have seen, but
sure.
Two good teams, gotta say, both good.
Yep. Definitely a defensive battle, and for Denver fans, that was what we expected and the best we could have possibly hoped for. The offense was about as flat as I predicted they would be, and just happy to come out of there with a win and Manning to get his Super Bowl and presumably ride off into the sunset. And it's just a great time to be in Denver. They had the parade today, and I think I heard on the radio they estimated there was more than 1 million people downtown for that. So that was quite a turnout. I haven't had a chance to view any of the footage, but I heard some coverage on the radio, and it sounded like quite the scene down there.
Well, it probably was. It's a beautiful city to be in, and I can only imagine what that looked like. So, speaking of only imagining what things look like, did you happen to check out the Super Bowl commercials this year?
I saw a few of them, but I was so kind of into the game that on most of the commercial breaks, I was up, trying to help with our daughter or get dinner going or things like that. So I have to admit, I didn't watch a lot of the commercials, but I do know I caught a couple of them, and some of them were pretty funny.
Puppy, monkey, baby.
3 words. That's all you need.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That one I did see.
If you haven't seen this, and I'm sure maybe some of our international audiences haven't, we'll put a link to it in the show notes. It's weird. And
that's an understatement.
It's weird. I think there were a couple of other ones that were pretty good. Like the Doritos ultrasound one. That one.
Yep, that one was good as well.
Kind of made me drop what I was drinking, but still made the point, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of fun, and gets people talking. That's kind of the whole point. And speaking of commercials, actually, one of the unique things we talked about last week, CBS was streaming the game. And I kind of dug into that story a little bit further. And one of the unique things that they did this year, last week, Seth, you and I had mentioned that we thought maybe that was a first. We were actually wrong on that. The game has been streamed before. What CBS did this year that was unique was a couple of things. One of which was playing the same commercials. So in years past, it's been a different set of commercials that were sold separately for whatever that's worth. And then the other thing was that was unique was that CBS pushed it to their app. So, over the top connected devices like Apple TV, Roku, Xbox One were able to access that versus, just being like forced to kind of go to a web browser. And so that was an interesting thing. They have not released numbers, but they did say that they broke records doing it. And so, that I predicted that didn't surprise me in and of itself. I know NBC had about 1.3 million concurrent viewers last year was the number they set. So an impressive technical feat, but still really a pittance when you compare it to the overall viewership.
Yeah. And there were a couple of tweets, and I guess the article we'll link to in the show notes acknowledges that they did have some problems right at kickoff, which is really where you don't want to have any problems. But there was a link that was posted. I think Dave Zatz tweeted it out. Somebody that had some problems, went over to the website, tried to get on there, and I guess whatever happened, it got bumped to a production server, which had the Broncos versus the Patriots right across the top. So whatever happened on their site, it's understandable, I guess. This stuff is all kind of new, and as soon as these companies figure out how to handle these types of loads, or we come up with better technology that handles these types of loads, we'll have better streaming and better this will be a better thing moving forward. I think this is really in its infancy.
Yep, but overall, heard it was technically worked out pretty well, and so that was kind of I thought a cool story. But without further ado, Seth, we've got a pretty big unveiling here that we want to get to, don't we?
Oh yes. I we've been teasing this for a little while. I've been teasing you for, I don't know what, a couple of months, a year now.
Yeah, well, yeah, way more than that. Yeah, off the air, this has been kind of 14 months in the making or so, and on the air, we've been teasing it now for a few weeks. And the box has arrived, and we were able to do kind of an on-air unboxing, and we recorded that sort of as a separate segment. And Seth, so what do you think? I would say without further ado, let's go ahead and present the unboxing.
Let's give it to the world. I'm gonna record you setting this up. All right. Yep. All right. So you got the app loaded?
I do.
Okay. So you see the bottom where it says user?
Yep.
Tap that.
Okay.
And is there a thing that says login?
Yeah, there's a login button, and then there's two blank fields, account and password.
Okay. So try. Okay. Go to the login.
Okay.
And
I think I'm there.
Okay. We'll try Seth at HomeTech.fm.
Seth at HomeTech.fm. Okay.
All right. And then the password's probably lowercase 1 2 3 4.
One, two, three, four.
Hope that gets in.
Done. Log in.
All right. So you're in?
Account or password not correct.
Ah, crap. I've done this so long ago. I don't remember what it was. Let's see. Try this. This would suck if it doesn't work. The account is HomeTech, and the password was 1 2 3 4. Let's.
All right. So just HomeTech.
Yeah, that was it.
And then B 1 2 3 4.
There you go.
Completed. I'm in.
Nice. All right. So there's a button. It looks like it's not a button. It looks like a circle at the top. It says get activated devices.
Yes.
Tap that and just wait.
It says completed.
Yeah.
It did a little progress wheel, and then it says completed.
Okay, cool. So now go over to devices on the bottom.
Okay. Searching.
Is there anything on there?
WW3K.
Nice. All right, we're almost there.
This is exciting.
All right, we're ready for the show, man.
Okay. All right. Well, this is the big moment then. I think I'm about ready to break out the box cutter and get this thing open.
Well, let's do it, man.
I'm anxious, Seth. This has been like 14 months in the making. I'm hoping it's not too fragile. The box looks like UPS played a little soccer with it or something.
Yeah, well, I didn't really expect... Well, I didn't expect that to happen, so I hope it still works. It's held together mostly with super glue, and...
Oh, okay, perfect.
So...
All right, well, I'll try to explain what I'm seeing here, I guess. This would lend itself better to video. So far, I'm seeing a Munchkin box, but I'm assuming this is OEM'd, so to speak.
This is OEM'd, right.
So the packaging is OEM'd. And the box is a Munchkin warm wipe box, which is funny because we've been talking about possibly getting one of these.
Oh, well, it's funny. I didn't even know these things existed. But here we go.
So we kind of laughed at them at first, but now that it's winter here, our daughter's room gets pretty cold, and where the wipes are, they are staying a little bit cooler than Riley is a fan of.
Well, Jason, I would like to direct your attention to what you are unraveling right now, which is
I am taking it out of the plastic.
The world's first internet-connected wipe warmer.
Oh, my wife is going to love this.
No longer will you be away from your home and not know that your wipes aren't being warm.
That's brilliant. I see some cords coming out of the back here. Looks like you've done a little modification.
This is a beta unit.
We're in beta. Now I just got to figure out how to open this thing. Okay, there we go.
Oh, there's two latches on the side.
All right, so we've got two power supplies here, I see. I'm
This might be the alpha unit.
So we're in alpha, actually. Thankfully, you prepared me, Seth. I've got 2 outlets here ready to go. So give me just a second.
Hopefully, if your login credentials are correct, we'll be able to skip the part that involves setting things up using a web browser on a completely Chinese menu.
Oh, boy. All right, now I got to figure out... Oh, there it is. Oh, this is great. My wife's going to get a kick out of this, Seth. All right, we are powered up. Now I'm going back to the app, presumably.
Yep, go back to the app. Do you have a blue light on the back?
Well, let's have a look.
Oh, you do?
I do.
All right, Jason. Are you ready for this? From Sarasota, Florida. From Sarasota, Florida to Denver, Colorado. I'm ready. I'm going to warm your wipes right now. All right, it's loading. I just saw it come up, but I hit the back button by accident. This is what happens on these live demos. We're not quite as prepared as Steve Jobs, but
right.
I think it's still important.
Well, like you said, we're in alpha.
Command sent. It's not saying it's turning on.
Oh, it just turned on.
There we go. Yes. It works.
Bravo.
We'll turn it off.
Seth. Oh man, that is brilliant.
So there's a website that I'll direct your attention to, and I'm gonna send you the website separately, so you can get to it. I'm gonna put it in the little chat robot thing. There you go. If you're listening and you're curious and you want to learn more, head on over to wipewarmer3000.com, and that'll forward you on to what this thing looks like.
That's awesome. And you know what's great is you actually just put that into the hub.
Oh crap.
Which, you know what? I kind of teased those guys and told them they might get an early look. So I think this is great. Look at that. You did a whole website.
I gotta delete this. There we go.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, Seth, that was worth the wait. And like I said, my wife's going to get a real kick out of that. And you know what? It's actually, I'm not even joking, going to be, I think, fairly useful. So we'll put it through its paces here. I'll report back, and I will let you and our audience know about reliability. And, if you have maybe a place set up where I can do like bug reports and feature requests, that would be appreciated.
Oh, no problem. That's going to be at wipewarmer3000.com/support.
The Wipe Warmer 3000. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So, there's also a Control4 driver, so I can send that over for you to I went through the little extra effort of integrating this with a popular control system.
That's too much. That's too much. Well, I love it. I think it's great. It was worth the wait, and hopefully our audience gets a kick out of it as well. And we're gonna be like I said, putting this thing through its paces, Seth. I think we're actually gonna give this thing some use.
Cool, man. All right. Well, with that, we'll continue on with the rest of our show.
Awesome. Well done.
So there you have it. The world's first internet connected wipe warmer.
I'm pretty excited, Seth. And one thing I realized that I didn't do while we were recording that was read the verbiage on the website, which you have now moved over. Anybody listening can go check out more information about this revolutionary product at wipewarmer3000.com. And I think you did a great job with that website, Seth. Very modern looking. Appreciate your photography there. And I wanted to read the brief description that you came up with, because I thought that was pretty good and warranted an on-air read. So let me jump into that. The world's first internet-connected wipe warmer. Have you ever found yourself having to use cold wipes? Have you ever wondered, is there a better, warmer, more civilized, and most importantly, connected way to warm your wipes? The Wipe Warmer 3000 is everything you can imagine and more. With Wi-Fi connectivity, iOS and Android apps, and Control4 integration, you'll never be without warm wipes again. Bravo.
You're gonna do the YouTube ad voiceover.
I'm practicing my voice for like Kickstarter videos.
Yeah. Well, hey, if there's enough demand, man, I'm going to Kickstarter with this thing.
Well, let us know, that goes to you, our audience. Is there a demand for this thing? What do you think of Seth's idea? Was it worth the wait? Shoot us a tweet at HomeTech Podcast. We had a lot of fun doing that. And I actually do think this will be a device that I get a little bit of use out of. So I'd be curious to hear what our audience's take is on hashtag what's in the box.
Hashtag WW3K. Oh, man.
Awesome.
Lots of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of Twitter, we wanted to, in keeping with our tweet shout out this week, give mention to a particular tweet, and we wanted to actually kind of use this as a segue into one of the stories that we're going to talk about. And our tweet shout out was actually a mention from none other than at Crestron HQ, which is the main Twitter handle there of Crestron. And they were kind enough to put out a tweet linking to a blog post that I put out this week. And the blog post was about Crestron's departure from CEDIA, which we're going to talk about here in a second. And their tweet was short and to the point and echoed the title of my blog post, which is Crestron left CEDIA. Get over it.
This was amazing. I was not ready to even get the kind of response that came out of that. I thought, you put a good opinion up. It was a solid opinion, and man, did it echo through the industry, because tons of people are talking about this. And to be retweeted straight from Crestron Electronics, verbatim. That's awesome, man. So congratulations. It was a good story.
Yeah, it was I enjoyed writing it, and Crestron leaving CEDIA, we're going to talk about it here, is obviously a big story. And so it certainly wasn't my intention to downplay it or say that it wasn't a big story, but my point was more that I believe very firmly that this doesn't change anything in terms of the overall kind of long-term trajectory of both organizations, that being, of course, Crestron and CEDIA. They're just kind of two organizations that have grown a little divergent in terms of strategies in response to kind of what's going on in the home technology market. And I don't think the story's any bigger than that. They pulled out of CEDIA, and the show will go on, and Crestron's going to continue to do their thing.
Yeah, my initial thought when I first read this, I think over at CE Pro, Julie had an article that kind of dropped the bombshell, right?
Yep.
My first thought was, this was when I think of Crestron, and it even being in the residential, like, Crestron is a massive commercial company, and I've heard numbers as high as 80%. I've heard 85%. I don't know who's right, who's wrong, or even if those numbers are correct or wrong, but I've heard that much of their business is commercial, and only somewhere around under 20% is actually residential business.
Right.
So if they're not making that much from residential, and they're having, do the math on that booth that shows up to CEDIA or shows up to ISE or wherever. How many blue shirts do they usually have running around that thing? There's probably 150 people there. So that makes 150 hotel rooms that you have to get. This thing's massive. It's got 2 stories in it. It's huge. It's got to be $1 million plus to rent. Yeah, I would suspect there's probably over $2 million, around $2 million just to get that thing to a trade show and have it set up and have it staffed. That's a lot of money to throw into marketing for only 20% of your business. So to me, it came down to that, what I've always heard, and it kind of supported that, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think that, my first thought when people bring up that number, and it's been pretty widely thrown around, I suspect it's that 20% resi, 80% commercial is probably a fairly accurate number. And, I think that some people have cited that as maybe proof that, in conjunction with this story that Crestron is leaving CEDIA, that maybe they're not interested in the residential channel anymore, to which I kind of say, no way. 20% may not be the majority of their business, but I don't know of any companies that could just shrug off a 20% dip in revenue. So I don't think that this is a case of Crestron not being interested in the residential channel as a whole. I do think that it is a case of them looking at the economics of it, like you said, and thinking about, where, since we started doing this show about 2 years ago, the home technology market has changed a lot. And that's kind of the main theme of the show, right? I mean, we talk about that all the time. And really most of that evolution and most of that change has been on the lower end of the market, straight to consumer, DIY type products. Personally, I welcome seeing those at CEDIA. I think it's important that we're paying attention to them. They are contradictory to Crestron's business model. And Crestron has clearly, with this decision, made a choice to take what they can get from the high end of the residential market. They're going to continue to put out robust hardware. They're going to focus more of those marketing dollars that they would have spent at CEDIA in other places that could go to more trade shows on the commercial side. Some people have speculated, and I think it makes sense that maybe they'll use some of those funds to do like a big dealer conference, which at the end of the day, pulling their dealers together and kind of rallying the troops in a way like that would probably lead to greater sales, a bigger bottom line for them than doing something like CEDIA, where it's really, I would say, more about the PR and showing up. I mean, we don't find out a lot from any company at CEDIA that we couldn't find out by just reading a press release. It's more about being there and having that presence and building awareness and trying to build buzz. And I just don't think that Crestron sees the importance in that. And, to each their own. I can't say that I blame them. The economics for them just aren't working out, and they're going to go their own way. But again, I just don't think it changes anything for the long-term trajectory of CEDIA as a whole.
And that's, I'm not so much the CEDIA portion, but that's where I'm going to maybe disagree with you somewhat. I think that Crestron is done with residential, and that's bold. I know it's bold, but hear me out. 3 letters, AMX. Where are they? They're not at CEDIA anymore. They pulled out of CEDIA, and now they're not anywhere to be seen in residential. Their only focus is on commercial. I mean, there's probably a couple of AMX shops around the states. Crestron would be good, I think, to split off Ping and send Ping to CEDIA and actually open it up to where dealers could get to it. Like it would be a great little product for CEDIA dealers, but I don't know why. To me, this looks like, hey, we made our shot. This market's going down market. We want to stay up market. We're going to keep making our nice fancy touch panels, and if you want to put them in homes, feel free. We'll support you. Yeah. We'll support you with that. That's fine. But we're not going to be spending millions of dollars on this show. And I think over time, give it time. 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. Crestron won't be around in Resi anymore. And that's kind of painful to hear and kind of painful to say. But unless something major changes, I just don't see it happening. Like this exit to me means that they're done with this market. And they'll hold on to the stuff like the super high-end jobs that sell a couple touchscreens and make them profitable for as long as they can. I'm not saying that's gone, but I mean, I would be looking for other partners to partner up with if your core business is going to stay in the Resi world.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll have to agree to disagree on this one. I think, maybe in the long term, Crestron will phase out of residential just by virtue of where the market is going to continue to evolve. But I just see things like Ping. Julie's article references a couple of recent high-level hires to head up kind of the home technology channel. Things like Home Elements. I mean, there's nothing to say that they couldn't just sort of cut their losses on it, but I just would be very surprised to see Crestron just walk away from residential as a whole. So I'm skeptical on that. Crestron states pretty adamantly that they're not done with residential. I'll take them at their word on that. The interesting thing about Ping that I didn't really have kind of the space I felt like to get to in my blog post because it's sort of a tangent, but Ping has been an interesting story with Crestron, and we've kind of talked about this when we did our CEDIA wrap up. When Ping was released in 2014, it was very clearly, and in no uncertain terms, it was being positioned as a down market solution. It was being sold to dealers as something that we could take to a very entry level basic job and deploy it. And that would be, Crestron's down market product or solution. The interesting thing that we saw at CEDIA 2015, so this year, was that they were really backtracking on that story with Ping. And all of a sudden, Ping was now being framed as a tool to let, kind of low to mid-level technicians go out and do configuration on very high-end Crestron systems because it made that configuration process easier. But the whole messaging around Ping really shifted, and I found that very odd. And in light of this recent story, now I have to wonder if that conversation, that reframing of Ping, was really a sign of early conversations high up in Crestron, kind of sitting around the table and saying, well, what are we doing in residential? I mean, do we really want to go after the low end of the market or not? And the messaging at CEDIA this year was all about luxury from them. It was the message I heard over and over again. And so I think this has been kind of a long time in the making in terms of Crestron kind of seeing this division in the market and just having to make a decision about how they position themselves and their brand.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, that's exactly how I feel about it. I'm worried that they're kind of, I guess they're keeping one foot in the bath, to kind of see how warm the water stays for them. But man, I would really love to see Ping take off. But again, Ping, the first couple of years, and I don't know what it's like now, but Ping really was not very well received by Crestron's dealership. Right? Am I
right.
missing that? Because the guys that I talk to,
no, I would say that's accurate.
Yeah, the guys that I talk to locally say, yeah, it's been sitting in the back since CEDIA 2015, and I haven't even opened the box to even bother testing it because I know I'm not going to sell it. And it's like, come on, like give it a shot. It's probably pretty good, and if you think about how that would help your business out, but they're focused on super high end, super luxury custom, and that little tiny product right there isn't going to fit into that. So I guess my frustration is that Crestron doesn't want to play in that market, but they have a pretty good product, or what looks to be a pretty good product, to get into that market. But it's their business, so I can understand it.
Yeah, and I'll clarify my point to that end is that when I say that Crestron's not walking away from residential, I do think they are walking away from the low end of residential, i.e. Ping. I mean, I don't see Ping sticking around. It's interesting that you say maybe they spin it off. I think that's unlikely, but it's an interesting thought exercise nonetheless, right? But I think Crestron's going to stay relevant in that, that ultra high end, ultra luxury market. I worked out in Los Angeles for 7 years, and there are just homes out there that I worked on that, Crestron is really the only thing that fits the bill. And Crestron is going to continue to make products that will fit in that market. That market's not going to go away. It's just that ultra high-end market is going to, as an overall percentage of the total home technology market, is going to continue to become a smaller percentage as the bottom end really grows. And so I think CEDIA is making the right choice by focusing on that and by, welcoming kind of consumer products into the show. I think that's 100% the right choice by CEDIA. And I also, at the same time, like I said in the article, think it's Crestron's prerogative to disagree and go do their own thing.
Yep. Well, it's more money for other companies like Control4 and Elan and Savant. I mean, they have been rushing for years to fill in the voids that Crestron has left in the market. Now Crestron seems to be leaving a much larger void for them.
Right. And I know we're staying on this story for a while here, but the one thing I want to kind of wrap up with on this topic is that, you mentioned other companies, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, Seth, because some of the comments I read on CE Pro were mentioning that maybe this will pave the way for other companies to, pull up the stakes as well. And I just don't see that happening. And I'd be curious to get kind of your thoughts on it. I think other competitors are going to, if anything, look at this as an opportunity to kind of move into that physical space, that front and center space, but also in terms of their messaging and to try to engender further goodwill with their dealer base by kind of saying like, well, look at us, we actually care about the Resi channel, right? With the implication obviously being that Crestron doesn't. And so I'd be curious to get your thoughts on that, and then we can move on.
Are you asking if they're going to pull up out of CEDIA?
I'm asking you if you think that this paves the way for other companies to say, well, Crestron's not going to the show, so we don't need to either.
I'd have to wonder about that. Maybe some of the companies that are more commercial focused might do that, but to me, the other companies that are really probably partying over this pretty heavily are like Control 4, Savant, Elan. Those companies will be front and center at the next CEDIA.
Right.
And they're going to have a pretty captive audience because Crestron dealers, I'm going to use a double negative, aren't not going to CEDIA, right? Like they're going to show up and they're going to be looking around going, oh, look at all these cool toys. They're not, I don't know too many dealers who like to take trips to other, out to exotic showrooms and different locations. They like to get all this business wrapped up at one point in time of the year. And if they're there, they're pretty captive for these other companies to take their minds off Crestron. So I don't know. I think it's an opportunity for them, especially for them and other control companies like Control 4 to come in and up the size of their booth, work something out with CEDIA to get right up there front and center.
So we agree on that. And to your point also about Crestron dealers, there was a few comments in the CE Pro article where people were kind of predicting that this would lead to sort of a sharp decline in overall attendance because there were the implication being that there were a significant amount of people who came to CEDIA predicated, I guess, on the fact that Crestron would be there. And that's another thing that I flatly disagree with. And maybe I'm just completely out of touch here, but to me, CEDIA is I can't imagine my decision to whether or not to attend CEDIA being based on any one manufacturer. I couldn't even imagine my decision being based on 4 or 5 manufacturers. I go to CEDIA because I want to, expand my toolbox, hopefully learn a thing or two, really network, catch up with old friends. There's so many benefits to it that really have nothing to do with any one particular manufacturer. And so I just don't see that. I don't see this having a major impact. Maybe there'll be a slight dip this year, but I think it'll bounce right back after that. And I just don't see it having a big impact on overall attendance.
Yeah, but that entire time you are at CEDIA, you are being marketed to. You are, your eyes are focused on every single sign that has a Crestron or Control 4 logo on it. And if one of those logos isn't there next year, and you're not a Control 4 dealer, you may go. And it's it's pretty happening booth. You
sniff it out.
Yeah, you may go sniff it out, and if they get you in, you may find out that it could meet some of your needs, and that's how these other companies are going to benefit from this. So I think it's I can understand them pulling the giant booth out and moving it away. But man, I really wish they still had a presence there. Just for that reason alone. Because they are a major player still in the industry. And maybe they're declining more than we know. I don't know. That's only for them to know. But, they definitely have a product that would appeal to a broader market. And, man, I'd just love to see that back at the show more often. To be clear on Julie's, article, it said that they weren't completely abandoning it. Like they could be back at CEDIA someday, but this is them pulling away from it right now. So I don't know. We'll see what it works out. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, fascinating story, no doubt. And I definitely wanted to give it a good chunk of time on tonight's show because I do think that it's a really important story. So again, my blog post wasn't to try and say that this wasn't important, but it was just that, again, overall, I don't think this changes anything for CEDIA, and I don't think it changes a whole lot for Crestron either. It's just that the focus of the two organizations appears to have grown apart, and Crestron has decided to go their own way. But the show must go on, right, Seth?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, speaking of the show going on, let's talk a little bit about the other company, Control4. They had their earnings announcement, and they also came out with some pretty big news in the industry. I teased this a little bit last week, but didn't realize the timing of how all this was going to go down. Control4 bought PackEdge, which is a networking company that serves the CEDIA market, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. Big story. And, I haven't had a lot of time to dive into this one. Been really chewing on some other things that have been going on in the news, but I've been looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it, Seth. I know we've talked about it a lot. You're a big Control4 guy. I don't have a ton of direct experience with PackEdge. Full disclosure, used their stuff a number of years ago. It's been probably 5 or 6 years, and just sort of had some mixed results, couple jobs where, who knows, it could have just been kind of gremlins in the network, but we just had a lot of disconnects and issues, particularly with OS 10 devices. And of course, this was a client who was like all Mac. And it just, at the time, caused me to move away and try some other things. And then since that time, I've journeyed to a few different companies, and I've just never been back at a company that uses PackEdge. So I don't have a ton of direct experience with them. I know that I've been hearing a lot about their backpack system, kind of the remote cloud monitoring solution, which is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I do think that remote monitoring and that sort of service that comes with it are a big part of what our industry is going to look like moving forward. And so I've been intrigued to learn a little bit more about that. But other than that, I don't have a lot to say about PackEdge. I do think that Control4 is being aggressive right now, and the acquisition, I think, speaks to that. And so I'm, like I said, interested to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, I actually have very similar experiences with PackEdge. I used it probably 5-6 years ago. Left it in the house running. A couple years later, the client's complaining of Wi-Fi drops. I pull the stuff out, put something else in, and haven't really gotten back to it. So I do know a lot of dealers have been using PackEdge in that time, and I've only heard some minor things here and there about wireless connectivity. It's funny you say, it was OS 10 devices that were giving you the problems. Like, OS 10 has been probably the worst software to actually connect wirelessly. I've even had problems on my own personal computer that are just infuriating, and it's all comes down to what turns out to probably be Apple not fixing their software. But you're good luck telling that to an Apple fan.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, the dilemma of an integrator.
Yeah, so
that kind of speaks to it.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, for a while there, I was in complete denial. It's got to be this stupid access point. Nope, it was the computer, and it was a software update that had to fix it, and I had to wait for Apple to get around to releasing it. Yay! So still a great computer, but I had to plug it in. So going back to PackEdge though, I think for Control4, like you said, they're being pretty aggressive. This is a pretty aggressive move on their part. But it kind of falls in line with what you have been saying. You spoke with Martin Plain about at CEDIA.
Right.
They're looking to be an infrastructure company, and there's not very much more infrastructure that you can get than the home network. If Control4 owns basically what happens from the modem all the way to that last end point where the Zigbee device lives, they own the entire network and infrastructure of that house. And there's a lot that they could do with that much horsepower, that much sight into a house, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Especially with the cloud-based network management backpack thing that PackEdge has and has been selling. I think it's a good move on their part, and I'm really interested to see how it plays out and how. I mean, what happens to the other partners that Control4 was using for networking, like Luxol and
yeah. Well, I actually just looked tonight because we have been using Luxol, and we've actually been getting that through the Control4 portal. They have been selling Luxol, and we were kind of laughing before the show because it didn't take long. All the Luxol stuff is off of there. and all the pack edge stuff is up. So, I guess to Control4's credit, when they announce something, they're ready to move forward with it. And so that's all up and running. You can log into Control4 if you're a Control4 dealer now and buy the pack edge stuff. It looks to me like clearly this will be similar to what they did with Leaf, right? Because they acquired them, and there was no rebranding or rebadging or roll up of the product into a Control4 labeled box. It just maintained its Leaf branding, and it looks like pack edge is likely to do the same thing. I don't know what that says, but I do think it's interesting. And I think you're right on point. Is kind of speaks to Control4's desire to really be seen as an infrastructure company more than a company that makes gadgets for smart home control. And this is just another a move in that direction for Control4.
Yeah. It's a good move. They also announced, we covered the EA controllers a little bit last week. Those what the coolest thing I thought about those were those were shipping on the same day that they announced them. We didn't have to wait around 2 weeks for them. Which is an old industry joke.
Right.
I'm sure you get that one. It'll be available in 2 weeks. We promise.
2 weeks. Yep. Yeah.
There's a bunch of integrators. Yeah. There's a bunch of integrators rolling their eyes right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I actually thought that was pretty clever on their part as to how quickly they shipped. I wasn't expecting that. But the day they announced it was the day you could actually send in an order. And I knew a couple guys that were like, we just bought HC800s, and they were sending them back for the new EAs. And I'm like, yep, that's pretty cool. That's a really cool thing.
No, that is cool. I think it says something about a company that can get their ducks in a row. Doesn't have to come out with a lot of hype and fanfare and then, push the product back and push it back. They come out with the announcement. They build up the hype as much as they can in the press and start shipping that same day. And we just don't see that a lot in tech in general, really, not even just in our little niche of smart home professional integration. But I do think that it's a good thing. And like I said, they kind of had the same thing going with their pack edge announcement that was announced, and it was basically up and ready to go.
Yep. All good stuff. Looking forward to see what these guys keep doing, because they're definitely advancing their product and going out and acquiring companies like Leaf and Pack Edge. I mean, I've worked, like I said, I worked with Pack Edge 5-6 years ago. I think that's when they were getting started, and you could literally call in and talk to Victor Pack, who's the president of the company for tech support. And now look at them. They've done a whole lot, and Control4 will have a pretty good team already assembled right there, that they'll be able to bring in and have part of a brain trust within the company. So I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, those are really the only two stories we wanted to talk about this week, because they were both very big stories, and we wanted to make sure that we gave them the time we felt they deserved. And also Seth wanted to make sure we left plenty of time for the big box unveiling, which was a lot of fun.
Well, I hope your wipes are warm, Jason.
Yes, my daughter will thank you.
Oh man, it's funny. I had no idea that those were even a thing. So I'm glad that they're useful.
We've joked about it before, and it's funny. And now that it's cold here, we've talked about it again. But you were already on top of it.
Be civilized, man. Come on.
Exactly. Well, had fun recording the show. Want to mention really quick, first of all, thanks for listening. We always appreciate that. Want to also mention that HomeTech is a proud member of the technology.fm family, and that's a great site if you haven't gone to check that out. It's kind of a curated collection of technology podcasts. If you're a fan of our show, you'll definitely find some shows there that you like, including the Smart Home Show and Home On by good friend of the show, Richard Gunther. So want to thank you again for tuning in, and go check that out if you have a minute. We think you'll enjoy it.
Yep, definitely. And if you go over to our website at HomeTech.fm, the show notes for this show will be at HomeTech.fm/98. I think we forgot to mention that a couple times. But on the right-hand side, you'll notice that there's an email sign-up. Go ahead and sign up for that. Jason's been working on some stuff and sending it out pretty much weekly. Over that, it's pretty unique stuff we don't get to on the show, stuff we don't get to talk about. He shoots out over that over the email blast there.
Yeah. So we do weekly show reminders there, and also I've been sending out on Tuesdays kind of the Home Tech weekly newsletter where I'll pick a few stories and just kind of give my thoughts on them, try to pick out some of the more important stories. And like Seth mentioned, every now and then there is some overlap, but also do try to pick some stories that we don't talk about on the air and share a few thoughts with our audience on those as well. So we'd encourage you to go sign up for that. We'd love to have you.
Absolutely. And if you find your way to our website, check out the support tab, HomeTech.fm/support. You'll see links there to our Patreon page where you can support us with as little as $1 a month. It keeps the servers going and the bills paid for that. And then you can also give us a rating on iTunes. I think that's probably the best thing you can do if you don't want to donate. Feel free to go ahead and donate a couple stars over the iTunes store, because that's how people actually find the show. It really does help the search engines and everything. I don't know how it works, but if you start rating, people find the show and they can come across when they're searching on iTunes.
I don't know how it works either, but I don't have to. It does.
Exactly.
So we'd appreciate that. Thanks again for listening. With that, Seth, I think I'll let you go and we can chat next week.
Sounds good, Jason. Have a good one.
I'm off to warm some wipes.